put you put principle above power. You put people above possession. I don't think most folks know what the issue in Hong Kong is all about. Let me see. You know what it's about, Daryl? We know it's LeBron James. We know, Sam, you know what it's about? Because if we don't know what it's about in this studio, then how do we communicate what it's out to the masses of people listening to us? So, I'm waiting.
My impression is now, as they're talking about their own democracy, the right to vote there.
Freedom of expression and not being censored.
Nope. What started the protest? What started the protest? See, there's our problem. There's our problem. What started the protest? All we know, LeBron James, basketball, NBA, these guys, they might have been put in harm's way. The Chinese government. First of all, let's understand what, please. I know I got it. What I'm gonna get is one of these studio microphones that hang down, so when y'all are talking in it. But
please do.
Yeah, okay.
Save my back and my knee. China was increasingly.
What did the Chinese government do that caused people to go in the street? What did the Chinese government do?
I want to say censorship.
No, it wasn't censorship.
That's what I said.
Remember well, all right, now that we all have smartphones, remember what started this? Weren't they going to extradite criminals?
Oh, there we go.
Oh, yes.
And then turn them into China for a trial.
Thank you.
Yes.
Okay.
Remember that?
Yeah.
Right.
And by the way, we forget this is a communist country.
Yes.
And people are, and they're supposed to, Hong Kong has a sort of a different relationship. And these people were saying, wait a minute, we're going to extradite. And then and get this now, 99% of the people who are alleged to have committed crime, 99% are convicted. Did the intern's reading. So read what you know. Get the microphone. Because if we don't know, you think the majority... See, everybody's focused on the personalities.
All right. So...
Yeah.
Hong Kong's protest started in June. That's
right.
What's your source? And my source is the BBC.
All right.
So the protest started in June against proposals for the extradition to mainland China.
Yeah.
Seeing something about a two-party, one country, two system, because they're up until 1997, Hong Kong was a British colony. But the bill was withdrawn, last month in September. So that's
why? Because everybody hit the street.
Yep, and then protests are becoming increasingly violent. Police are firing bullets. Protesters are attacking officers and throwing bombs. It's a lot.
Yeah, well, that, once again, this is what, it was autonomy. And so what I'm trying to say is we do a disservice when we don't focus, put too much focus on the personality. Because let's go back to what the general manager of the Houston Rockets did. He responded to why the people were in the street. That's what he did. And yes, he didn't think, and it's interesting. People are saying, well, he should have thought about it. Because what he did was inconvenient. Who was inconvenienced? The money people. That's right. The money people. The money people. Oh, man, darn it. Man, the money people. Now, I brought up that's Paul. This whole Paul Robeson getting the Spingarn medal. That's why I say athletes getting involved. Let me give you an example. You know who called living hell because he wouldn't play tennis in South Africa? Arthur Ashe.
Arthur Ashe, yep.
And Arthur Ashe represented not just the United States, he represented the Tennis Association. What, Sam?
And so many people have twisted what Colin Kaepernick was doing.
And Colin,
they didn't
absolutely
know what the reason was.
And look what, and he gave up his career. Well, he should have known. Yeah, sometimes, let me tell you, when you, what have I told you? Moments, there's a difference between a moment and a movement. Movements require sacrifice. Now, I'll say this. If you're not willing to sacrifice, then shut up. But when people do sacrifice, that's an individual decision.
And you're right. We've got an obligation to educate ourselves.
That's right.
So that we understand. You mentioned Colin Kaepernick.
Right.
And one of the things that came to mind is something I saw on television the other day. It's not like he did not know what he was doing.
That's right.
He knew what
right.
the implications would be. Why? Because he consulted with Professor Harry Edwards.
Who, by the way,
you put the fill in.
No, go ahead. Did what?
Who counseled him.
No,
and he was the
stop,
man.
no.
Okay.
No, see, no. Harry Edwards counseled who?
Kaepernick.
Who
also counseled.
No, listen, Harry Edwards counseled Tommy Smith.
That's what I was going to
who
also counseled
Tommy Smith and John Carlos.
And Carlos. And what happened to Harry Edwards?
And
he lost his job.
What happened to... Let me tell you. See, you guys think, they raised their fist. They couldn't get a job. Tommy Smith and John Carlos couldn't get a job. They kicked them out of the Olympic Village. They kicked them out. No, wait a minute. One just won a gold medal. Mm-hmm. One just won a silver medal.
Bronze.
Or bronze or whatever. And they kicked them out. And it wasn't that they were just standing up for black folk. Remember, what had happened in Mexico City prior to the 68 Olympics, you know what happened? They had killed students who were protesting.
And it's taken 50 years for the Olympics to say,
I'm sorry.
We were wrong.
We were wrong.
They were wrong.
That's absolutely right. We were wrong.
Because they've now acknowledged
and 50 years.
So the man who counseled them, who didn't raise his fist, but who counseled them, lost his... I don't know if he was a teacher or professor at the time.
He was a professor at I think at San Francisco.
Was he San Francisco?
Well, he was, San Francisco. But by the way, I think he still is. Mm-hmm. We've had Harry Edwards. He listens to the show.
Yes.
Yeah, he listens to the show. Remember, we go back. Do me a favor. Let's go back and find it. So not now, but later on. We listens to the show, the interview we did with her. I mean,
so this runs deep.
And
there's a long history in this country.
And by the way, I was on Chinese state TV with Harry Edwards a couple of years ago. I'll give you a sacrifice. How many times have they Chinese state called me and wanted me to come on the show?
I can't tell you. I lost count.
And I've stopped. I'm not doing it. Now, what does that mean? Wait a minute. There's 1 billion people who watch that channel. And and they want to know about and by the way, they're supporting the government. I'm not going to go over there. I'm not going to do it. Because you know why? Because as soon as they ask me, well, what's your position, Mr. Madison, on the protest in Hong Kong? I'm with the people. Then that's the end of my appearance. That's the end of my appearance. There's always, I mean, this is, there. Dr. King used to talk about, I've never seen a protest where it was convenience. Where, protests aren't meant to be convenient. John from New York, good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Madison. You started off the
first
show.
First time caller. Hold on.
Good morning, Mr. Madison. You started off the show saying that most people don't know what the protest was originally about. To keep it really simple, there was a Chinese national named Chan Tong, and he and his girlfriend left China. They went to Taiwan on vacation.
Right.
And he found out through watching a video that she was having sex with his former boyfriend and that she had gotten pregnant. So he gets mad. He beats her head against the wall and he strangled her to death. So then what he did was he took her ATM card and he used it in order to buy some stuff while he was there. So essentially, basically, he murdered her and he robbed her. So then the Chinese government comes along and they're trying to extradite this guy, but the government refuses to let him go because they don't have an extradition treaty with China.
Bingo.
But as you know, China, as far as they're concerned, Taiwan and Hong Kong both belong to them.
Right.
So ultimately, what this is all totally about is that the people of Taiwan and Hong Kong, as far as they're concerned, they don't want to be held to Chinese law because, as you know, in China, you'd basically be executed
right.
for robbing and murdering or raping somebody.
Look, and let's wait a minute. 99%. Understand something. 99% of the people, innocent or guilty, because of the Chinese government. When they're found guilty. Now think about that. 99% of the people who who are alleged to commit a crime are found guilty by the Chinese government. Oh, and by the way, they really don't have total freedom when it comes to their elected representatives. Right?
That's absolutely right. I used to live in China. The government there is totalitarian.
Thank you.
You don't have right. The state is always right. For people who don't know about China, I'd recommend watching the Richard Gere movie Red Corner. But just to say, the one thing I wanted to make sure I filled in was the reason why nobody here in America understands what this is completely about. They have been told, I watch all of these news channels. I watch MSNBC, I watch Fox, I watch CNN. All of them have constantly been reporting that these people are simply standing up trying to fight against China for their rights because that is the news media narrative. Most of them have no idea about the extradition treaty because they don't pay attention to Chinese news in Chinese by Taiwan or Hong Kong.
Whoa. Be very careful with that. And that's your opinion. Now, let's be very careful. You do not know what most of those people think. And I'll tell you why that's a very dangerous statement. That's what they used to say in the 60s about folk who came out and marched with Dr. King. Oh, most of them don't know what so-and-so and so-and-so. Look, this, as just like you explained it, it's not complicated to you, and you don't live there. So let's be quite candid. When you start talking about when 100,000 people show up on the street, you don't know what most of those people think or know. Now, let's be honest. I know what you're saying, and I know that it's not literally, but I always tell you, be very careful, because you don't know, John.
Well, Mr. Madison.
No, John. Look. Excuse me. How do you know?
Stop cutting me off, goddammit!
People think. I just want to explain to my audience, because the reality is that's something you really. You don't know that. You could have lived there. I don't care if you lived there 100 years. You don't know what those 100,000 people are thinking.
Well, Mr. Madison, I'm not speaking about the Chinese protesters. I'm talking about the average American who's.
Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I'm
if
sorry.
you let
I'm
me
sorry.
fucking
thought
speak,
you
I can
meant
explain
you said
it.
the
God damn.
protesters. Oh, okay.
Stop fucking cutting me off.
Oh, okay. My apologies. My apologies.
Yeah, that's why I started out by saying the protesters are protesting because they don't want to be part of Chinese mainland
that's okay.
Chinese
All right,
Yeah,
all
so
right.
stop
I didn't
cutting me
connect
off,
it
please.
together. I got it. I just want to be careful. No, that's the point. I think you're agreeing with me when I started.
I'm telling you to shut the fuck
we
up.
are so
Let me
focused
talk.
on NBA, LeBron James. What's the general manager's name?
Maury.
And we're on the personality and not the issue.
Well, and that is because the news
Yes.
has been spinning it as
Yes.
an anti-Chinese government protest, but they never actually, when I watch these news media, they do not bring up the extradition portion of
Yes,
it. They
very
only
seldom.
talk about people fighting the government because it helps their narrative that China's evil.
Right.
And it helps Trump's argument that, oh, China's bad and they're against trade and they control the currency. But they're not talking about the extradition part.
And absolutely, that's why I asked the staff, how did this begin? Because most people don't know. Most people don't know, but they know LeBron, and then LeBron James brings up, this. Like I said, is it going to be possessions over people? Is it going to be principle over power? Did he just flush the toilet?
That was him on the road.
1-866-801-8255.